barb shot, kill command, barb shot, kill command, barb shot. I'm like, I'm at the top of the meters. You mean they're buffing Beast Mastery? What's going on over here, Squishy? Welcome back to episode 62 of the bench, powered by Wowhead.
Yeah, I had to go find those BM Hunter buffs. They were down so bad on the meters, and turns out their sim was just wrong. Interesting, isn't that, Growl?
Well, they were terrible for context.
Were they?
Is that the new meta now? I'm pretty sure like that has to be a thing, right? Like we've had so much nonsense with class discords this expansion. We've had the DK is not a raid buff incident. We've had closing down the Ret Paladin Discord. We've had the lost Ellie Shaman and now the Hunter Sim. Like, is this just going to be a thing now where like going into the patch, everybody just sandbags and you just like don't post the right like APLs and you just hope that Blizzard doesn't buff your class, or that you hope that Blizzard buffs your class?
All right, counterpoint. What if they're just really stupid over there in the Hunter Discord? So like counterpoint, there's like probably 20 people in the entire game that do any theory crafting in 2025. Theory crafting is not really a thing. And so like what if they just don't have people who are in the know?
I think it's very clear it was just unoptimized.
Yeah.
But how it looks to the majority of the community, it definitely looks not great.
So to their credit, Beast Mastery Hunter does suck in raid if you're playing pack leader. If you're playing pack leader. Now the problem was apparently Dark Ranger was better than pack leader, but nobody was playing Dark Ranger, right?
Yeah, so their sim was like 6% unoptimized, I believe. And then the buffs came in and was like another 15 or something percent. And so then it was like an 11.5% buff. But then Blizzard came in and was like, that's too much of a buff. So it brought it down to about an 8% buff.
Yeah.
But then the BM Hunters again found another optimization to Dark Ranger, and now it's back up to an 11% buff, back to where they were before Blizzard came back and deleted that. So like, it was just clearly unoptimized, but it's just definitely not the best look, I think, to people who aren't in the know.
Yeah, I mean, somebody from the Druid Discord found a APL update this week too. You want to guess how much it was?
How much?
0.7%. 0.7%. Okay. We changed our opener a little bit. But like, I mean, it is one of those things that it kind of happens frequently where you have just random optimizations. But Growl, I think, onto something. Maybe the meta should be that you just completely grief your class until after there's tuning and then announce some new build that showed up overnight.
So the APL and sim stuff, this bleeds into class guides, right? Like APLs and what people write in their guides is sort of the same thing. So like, for example, when you say you improve the balance APL, you're also changing the guide, right? Like you figured something else out or no? Like I understand that there's both things happening. Like also the APL could just be wrong because there's a mistake. But these things of like, oh, what if we do this and this? That's like, and I'm not saying like, oh, did you change your guide? I more mean like the community as a whole is probably doing less damage than they should because of these errors, right? It's not just a sim thing.
So like, not to get like too in depth with it, but basically you would press this global right here, which was your hero talent trees. You would press them right before you would press convoke previously. And now there's basically a new optimization where the timing of which you repress your cooldown to get your force set again is just slightly different. So you're doing, a little bit more damage.
Right.
I mean, again.
Yeah, it's something that I guess like I haven't been a DPS player for very long. So most of what I understand is just you follow those 20 guys that theory craft and you just do whatever they say and you just follow the robot. But more and more as I play, I kind of like get suspicious about things and wonder if they're correct. Like, do you guys ever do that? Like when there's like something that in your rotation or something in the guide that doesn't feel right, or like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. That I don't think that there's that many people who are actually theory crafting the game anymore, or actually going out and testing stuff. Because to me, the fact that everybody just hive mind played pack ranger, or pack leader, and nobody was playing Dark Ranger BM at all. And BM, I mean, if you look at the actual results of how they perform in Warcraft logs, the spec looks fucking terrible. They look like they need a pretty big buff. But it's like the fact that nobody tested it out, that seems a bit strange to me.
I mean,
it's hard though. It's got to be so hard though, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've put in a shit ton of time on Mage and I've been learning a lot of stuff, right? But like, dude, I have no idea how the other hero talent tree works now. Like, I've switched over, like they nerfed it or they changed things, and then like it very well could be better and just nobody knows. I just take the word of people who have tested it, And again, I'm not trying to like say that they're doing anything wrong or they're bad or stupid or anything. Like, if I thought that, I would be doing my own testing if I thought I could do better. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. That sort of goes back to my complaints about the whole like talent tree system. It just feels a little too hard to test stuff, Like it feels a little bit too hard to just know every single little nuance of all this, which I guess is on some level is a cool thing, but on the other level is like when in this era of like everyone being hyper competitive and super serious about balance and a raid buff going from 3% to 5% is a big deal. It does feel like you just have this stuff that feels inaccessible. Like if a mega sweaty nerd like me, if it feels inaccessible to, I can't imagine what it feels like for like the average person to like I mean, these are the guys that go in your Twitch chat or YouTube comments, right? And so, oh, what's the best talent tree? What's the best class? What's the best this? Like, how the hell are they supposed to know if we don't even know?
Yeah. I mean, I think hero talents kind of added to that. I know we've kind of like hit hero talents before, and like part of it is every person is now learning essentially to like double the amount of specs. If you're a multi-classer, like you might be like, let's say you're a mage. Previously, you were responsible for playing 3 in raid. Now you're almost like responsible for at least knowing a baseline of 6, right? Of each hero talent, which a lot of the hero talents actually change the way you play. Different openers, different priorities on casts and stuff like that to be optimal. It's actually opened up quite a lot.
Yeah. I've seen some people get annoyed being like, oh, people are sandbagging. I'm gonna say most of it's not malicious. I think very few instances of it are actually malicious. More often than not, it's due to ignorance more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really hard to intentionally sandbag an entire community, like to tell everyone.
I mean, like,
let's not play.
Yeah, look at this.
Somebody will eventually say something, right? Like, not this many people can keep a secret.
Or somebody.
I don't know.
Or somebody from China is going to show up and he's just blowing everybody else out of the water, playing randomly Dark Ranger, and you start to look into it more, and you're like, oh wait, this guy's cooking. Hold on, this guy's a chef.
Right. Well, keys especially, it's so hard to know, right? Like depending on the route, depending on the other classes you're playing with, there's so many different variables to, I mean, I hear this all the time. This is like very common in the M+ community for one guy to be doing something and then other people to be like, nope, that guy's a moron. Like he'll be doing like the highest level of keys, insane amounts of damage, like playing with the best players in the world. Nope, he's a moron. He's just doing stuff wrong. He has no idea what he's talking about, but it's like, it's just so hard to really know, right? Like it's so hard to know what actually is better or why.
That's why play is so much more impactful than like intricate class knowledge and like niche bottom rerolling, because you can actually just, if you improve your own individual play a lot for pretty much every single player, you can increase your DPS by a lot more than you could by bottom rerolling to something that you're slightly worse at.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like such easy low-hanging fruit. Like that's something for me as a DPS player I find myself doing is just looking at like, oh, maybe my stats are wrong. Like, oh, let me sim my guy again. Like, oh, I got this new ring. Let me sim this. Or like, oh, what's this guy doing? Or like, let me check logs. Or other, like, because it's so easy to just switch a stat or switch a talent. And like, you're constantly always double checking and making sure you're running the right build or that people aren't doing stuff. Because it's like, if you can just click a button and do more damage, and obviously that's going to be way better than actually, like getting good.
More often than not, though, the best thing that you could possibly do is get 5 more casts in on a per fight basis, and that yields you tens of thousands of DPS more, as opposed to that change of gems, which might get you like 4,000 DPS. Not bad.
Yeah. I mean, Growl, I'm sure you've experienced it. You open your weekly vault, you open it up, you see all these things, and you immediately type /simc. Go to raidbots.com and put it in and find out what the biggest DPS increase is. Is that about right for you too? Have you learned that?
Yeah, the Waffle Cat Weekly is a series that I have on my Eclipse channel where I open my vaults every week. And I feel like the quality has gone significantly downhill because of my mage now. Because literally I do that, right? I open my vault, I'm like, well, okay, let me scan or let me sim everything. Let me talk with my raid leader and see who needs what. Like, what am I in line to get? Like, what does our guild need? Should I take this cantrip weapon? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't even like. I think 3 weeks in a row I've opened my vaults and then not taken anything because I need to do more research. I can't just. It's not like a healer where I'm just like, oh, look at me, and I just click something. Like, yeah.
It's interesting because whenever I'm playing an alt, I don't sim, don't look at like whenever I play my Ellie Shaman or I play my Og Evoker in season 1. No sims, just vibes, no thoughts, head empty. You know what? This looks like an upgrade. Click and take it. And I'm just like, yep, this is great. This is the way that God intended the game to be played.
I mean, I on one hand, I actually almost prefer that. It's just like vibe space is kind of fun in its own way of just not having to worry about being optimal. But it's just so ingrained in WoW at this point that there's just no way out of it, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh man, not to get anybody's hopes up. This is me just like thinking on the spur of the moment, but and maybe Kettle's even thinking the same thing at this point. But I feel like if I do whatever my next Zero to Hero series is, like I feel like just doing the same thing over and over again is boring. That is definitely a cool idea to play a class that you've never played before and don't look up anything and then just play the class to get to like, you know, whatever 3K score and just see what you like. Then at the end, you see what you come up with. And I don't know. I'm not saying this is like anything I'm working on, but that would be, I feel like that would be really, really cool content. Imagine you're like a longtime expert of that class or whatever. You're just watching like, I think this stat's really good. Terrible. This talent seems good. Terrible. And you're just like clicking buttons the whole time.
What am I allowed to know? Am I allowed to like inspect people and see what they're playing?
Yeah. Well, what if somebody flames you? Like, what if you go into a key and somebody's like, "Why are you playing this? Like, you need to play this talent." You know, is that count?
Oh my
like,
god, clicking talents. Oh my god, clicking talents would be the devil with a video series like that.
Oh, did we lose Squishy?
Oh no.
The thing about the bench is you never even know if this is a bit either. You never know if we have something planned or people are always frozen cams and disappearing. So
yeah, no, I think that could actually be pretty interesting. My next planned Zero to Hero is I'm going to do it on a tank attached to a subathon at the end of this month.
Oh, subathon has been interesting. I've kind of thought about that, but
yeah,
if I ever, I don't know, it would be like not like a break glass in case of emergency, but I would want it to be like really wild. Also, what is going on with this?
I don't know. Okay, surely he shows back up, but
yeah, don't worry. We have lots of very interesting stuff to go over this week. So
I got a DM from him on BNet. Discord crashed. All right. Anyway.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like I have like specific challenges planned. We might end up having to do a live bench episode depending on how long the subathon ends up going for.
Oh shit! I don't mind that. I was actually thinking that because I was streaming today. I just totally forgot it was the day we're recording, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I could ask, and I'm sure they wouldn't care if we recorded.
Oh no,
live,
you can
like,
do it live. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. But like, why bother?
Yeah.
You know. But if you needed to for something like that, yeah, we would never care.
Yeah.
Or we could just do like a special episode or something too.
So I'm planning on putting like all the tank specs on a wheel, and I'm gonna spin the wheel, and we're gonna get what we get, and then I have like specific sub goals for it. Like one of them is cosplay as my character, and I'm thinking about ways to acquire a suit of armor. Imagine if I hit like Prot Warrior or Prot Paladin, what the fuck am I gonna do to cosplay as a Prot Warrior or Prot Paladin? It'd be really funny if I got a suit of armor though.
Yeah, I thought about something like that. Also, sort of the ideas like challenges in the keys too, or like, you know, handicapping yourself in some way. But I always kind of worry, like, okay, you're just in like sevens griefing a bunch of new players, right? Like, you know, oh, I'm gonna do this key with the 1-button rotation, or I'm gonna do this key without pressing shield block, and it's like, yeah, for you it might be fun, but you might be like completely terrorizing random people who didn't necessarily sign up for this. So yeah, I've kind of had ideas for that sort of thing too, like little mini challenges or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. I don't know. I think it would be a very fun experiment to see what it would be like to just try and come. Because I feel like it can't be. I feel like you got to at least be able to get close, right? Maybe you're not that accurate.
I guess what would be the restrictions on it? Are you allowed to like inspect people in Dornegal and see what they're playing? Or are you like?
Oh no! Like you're because by inspecting people, you're basically just looking up a guide, right?
Okay, fuck, dude. I think that chat might end up spoiling it on accident though. Like if I'm doing it.
Oh yeah. No, there's no way you could stream that because dude. There's literally nothing more attractive than someone in the YouTube comments or the chat than getting somebody to like correcting somebody when they're doing something wrong.
Yes.
If someone's doing something wrong on the stream, as a chatter, your hands just start slowly moving to your keyboard and they just start typing the correct thing in the box. Like I always laugh when I watch a YouTube video and someone's like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this? Write down in the comments below." It's like, bro, if you want to bait comments, literally just pronounce a word wrong. And everyone just cannot help themselves. And they just rush into the comments to tell you how to say that word. And it's like, that's 100 times more effective than just telling people to comment.
I will say the problem with the 0 to hero just in general is like doing it off stream it's a lot of work. Like it is genuinely.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think I probably spent. So I think in total my shaman was like 60 hours of gameplay time. But there was a lot of prep that went into that. I probably spent 80 plus hours on that for 2 weeks of like just gameplay, right?
Yeah, and planning it, like figuring stuff out, and getting footage and stuff. Yeah, oh yeah.
And doing that off stream, while possible, it's just really bad for my content for 2 weeks because I'm not able to do anything else. Like that's basically my full-time job for 2 weeks, which it makes sense, but at the same time, it's also way less fun, I guess I would say, to do it like that.
Yeah, pretty much every single one of my series. So I've done 3 so far that I've finished. One of them I completely scrapped because it was so boring. One of them, my shaman one, was like the most well received, but even that one, like the very last video was just an 8-hour stream VOD because I'm just like, bro, I can't do, I can't just keep doing these little videos. Like it's gonna be a 50 video series. Like, and I just did like an 8-hour VOD.
That's why I did a 2-hour long video, right? Or how
that came out really well. That was like, I think that video came out really, really well. That was a really cool video.
Yeah, Feb did a really good job editing it.
If anyone's listening who hasn't saw Tettle's 0 to Hero Ellie Shaman, that was a good one.
Okay, Squishy said, I think Discord exploded. It doesn't work on my phone. Do you want to try Google Meet? Do you have a Google Meet?
Google Meet?
What is that?
What is Google Meet?
Isn't that Google Hangout?
Like,
all right.
So,
all right, chat. Good news. The podcast will go on. Bad news. Discord's down. So we're on. I didn't even know this was the software. Google Meet. What is this, Squishy? How do we get here?
Yeah, it's but do you think this is because the BM hunters are protesting us talking bad about them and their buffs?
true,
I don't know. I'm not really sure about any of that.
Maybe Discord is protesting.
What I will say is the craziest thing that I think happened this week actually wasn't related to Beast Mastery Hunter. It went a little bit under the radar. Fury Warrior got hot fixed to the moon. Oh my! Have you guys seen this shit? They hot fixed Slayer Fury to where this is now one of the best specs in Mythic Plus. This spec is insane now.
Yeah, it is very, very good, and they just kind of snuck under the radar. And I'm honestly surprised that so far there's been nothing on it.
I think that if you're like a really high-end player, I think that you heard about this and are in the know, and then you go and you turn on like Crit Cake's stream and you watch him with all of these melee buffs, and he is just putting on a legacy flu game-like performance, doing 2 million DPS more than the rest of his DPS in his group. It is insane how much they buff this spec. So the TLDR is Reap the Storms used to proc like 20% on AoE. Now it's 20% per target hit, and now it just does unlimited amounts of damage. And this spec actually, I think that there's a decent chance that it could even be a meta specialization if, say, Protection Warrior somehow slides or Brewmaster Monk ends up being slightly better. I think that there's a chance that Fury Warrior could actually slot in quite nicely into the meta for Mythic Plus.
Even with its target cap?
Who cares about the target cap? Like, listen, I think the target cap, if you look at Arcane Mage is target capped. That doesn't matter. The target cap is like additional friction at the very beginning whenever you're designing a composition, where it's harder for specs who have a target cap to actually be meta, but all it requires is for you to be slightly overtuned relative to the rest of the field. And then who cares about the target cap? To hell with the target cap. You're just doing more damage than other people. The problem with Fury Warrior is that for some reason, Blizzard has never wanted to overtune them. They wanted to tune them very carefully and make sure that they're appropriately tuned, as opposed to allowing them to be overtuned, like, for some reason, Arcane Mage is right now.
I mean, how are people not going to be playing FizzComp? Like, FizzComp was already good, and now Fury Warrior is good. I do think that Prot Warrior is better than Brew. I don't know if you can play Brew Fury, but if you can, I mean, Feral is also not bad. Hunter just got buffed. I mean, there's no way people are like everybody isn't playing BizCom this season.
It's interesting because you're talking about like the specializations that are good, which I think is valid. I think the most compelling thing for FizzComp this season is actually the Nether Prism Trinket off Fractalus. That thing is broken. And I think that that is going to be something that, like, right now, most people don't have it. Secondly, most people aren't routing around it for Mythic Plus. But once you're able to route around what is effectively the melee Spy Master's web of the season, BizComp, I'm convinced, broken. Going to be definitely the best thing on the patch.
Interesting. I mean, overall, though, I just don't understand why they didn't announce this. They just kind of snuck it under the radar. I think that's like my biggest thing.
It's a massive buff.
Yeah.
Hold on. You guys have this right here, and these are stats from Mythic Stats right here. These two charts. Fury Warrior previously not very good, actually near the bottom in terms of like damage output. Now these are damage that is taken from logs, which can be skewed for reasons that are basically more people are doing 13 keys than are doing 19 keys, and the classes that have specializations that tend to do higher keys tend to skew the data because doing a higher key means that you typically do a little bit more overall DPS. But Fury Warrior going from the very bottom all the way up almost to the very top is absolutely broken. That is like unprecedented amount of buffing from an unannounced hotfix.
And that's why it's like, is this even like intended? Or is this just like a bug fix that Blizzard didn't know that like some intern fixed and didn't understand how much this is going to affect things, you know?
It's bigger than like the Mootkin buffs and the Beast Mastery Hunter buffs, which people were really mad about the BM buffs. The Fury, I'm not like that mad. Like I think that Fury sucked, and I think that Fury is very infrequently good. So like I don't care. At the same time, it is really funny that it happened via a hotfix because Blizzard tends to try to keep specializations roughly in the same position whenever they're looking to buff them or nerf them. They want them to be about the same level of good or about the same level of bad, just lowering the delta between all of the specializations in the game. And they're like, no, we're going to take this spec from bad to really good. Hold on. Hold my beer.
All right. While it was out, did Growl update on his raid?
No.
No, I want to know this. Growl, how's your raid going?
The raid updates. All right. So we actually had a really great contribution after last week's podcast, and I didn't super verify this, but I did. I think that I'm like pretty certain that this is true, that this isn't like some copy pasta or someone made up. So if you guys didn't listen to last episode, essentially we're on Nexus King. This is, Drogo's guild, my great raiding guild. And we are raiding for 2 hours. We take a like 10 or 15 minute break, then we raid for another 2 hours. And during the break, we come back from break and our tank is just gone. He's not there in the raid. He left the guild Discord. He left the guild. He left everything. Not like I had to go emergency. Like I'm just done raiding with this guild, and he just left.
The Discord is crazy. By
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Like said nothing to anybody, right? So I brought this up on last week's pod, and I actually got a comment about it. And this was from. I guess I won't read the name. He said, I've actually been a victim of the tank Growl mentioned on the pod twice. First, he joined us late in court progression, and then early Queen Prog suddenly developed extreme joint pain in his fingers. He baited us not playing, saying he was going to recover, and then suddenly vanished, but was cured miraculously by the guild melee mechanics shortly after. So he actually left their guild or was sitting in their guild and then joined another guild halfway through Prague when he already joined them halfway through Prague.
That's amazing.
So that guild ends up breaking up. So this person then joins another guild for Undermine. In the first week of the patch, that guy joins the guild. The same guy who left the other guild is now in the same guild with the same guy again. Apparently, when I'm assuming that he got kicked or something happened, it turns out that also a couple expansions ago, he left the guild mid-prog because he, quote, had cancer. And he decided that he could no longer play, told his guild he was quitting WoW because he had cancer, and then ended up joining another guild. And now then that person has joined our guild, and then so that was the story of that person. So it was actually very likely that person is a very strange individual rather than our guild being that insufferable.
Do you think that maybe you should have a doctor on your guild's roster to be able to appropriately vet people's illnesses?
No, but we have a lawyer now on our roster. JB has joined. He's playing Resto Druid in our guild, so we do have a lawyer on our roster.
Can you sue him for financial losses and loss of time?
Oh yeah, like dude, what if I lost an item on JB because of that? Like I'm definitely taking him to court for sure. No, but so in other news, I don't know if this is because I'm no longer progging as Disc Priest. I think Nexus King is like one of like my favorite fights that I've ever done. I don't think I've ever had this much fun on a boss with this many pulls ever in WoW. How have you guys? What is your guys' experience on that boss?
I'm on the bench. I'm literally AFK, laying on my couch, watching my guild prog for a couple days. I think that we probably killed the boss on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how many more, depending on how fast our reclear goes. But yeah, I've been benched on the boss. I was in for a little bit. I actually liked P1. I know that Squishy and I were talking about it. He said that he thought that P1 was too punishing and too annoying or something.
I think it's pretty punishing, yeah. Do you know the what your guild thinks of it?
I've been asking. Oh, sorry, Tunnels. Okay.
Both of you. That's fine.
Most of my guild thinks that it's pretty good. I think the biggest complaint is with the soul mechanic. Pretty much everyone in my guild believes that they should have put the Kaiveza laser beam thing on it. That way you can actually see where the fuck the soul is. That seems to be the most common complaint, is that the soul mechanic is really annoying.
Yeah.
That's like the only complaint that really I got.
Growl?
Yeah, from talking to people in my guild, it's been kind of mixed. I don't think anyone really hates it, but I think the biggest thing, P1 can, depending on your class, can be really tough. I feel like it's not too bad for DKs, but for a lot of melee, it's probably really annoying, especially having, if you want to get off the boss to make the ghosts easier to see. Also for ranged, if you have really high mobility like Mage, I think it's fun, but for a class like Warlock that really wants to stand and cast, all the running around that you have to do. And with the tank soaks, it's not always obvious which soak that you have to get into, right? Like sometimes you have to get into the very first tank hit, and so you might not be prepared with your globals to do that. I mean, obviously, to me, though, I feel like there's a lot of skill involved in pre-planning literally every single little part of that fight and being able to min-max your movement. But I kind of wonder if part of that is just because Mage has all those tools, and classes that don't have those tools is maybe more frustrating.
So I probably have about 15 pulls on the boss. And let me just say, how you have to play phase 1 as a Moonkin is you go Barkskin, Bearform, Barkskin on the Conqueror soaks, and every single time you get a banishment dot, you have to call for an external on your character. Like, there's no other way to live. And so I think the survivability, like, dude, okay, damage intake has gone way too far. We've talked about it on the pod a lot. Healers are too strong. At the same time, damage intake is way too strong. There's too many defensives in the game. Blizzard has to remove defensives. Blizzard has to make healers weaker and then slow down the damage intake, because I just get like, it's either get external by my healer or die. And it's like, I've had multiple instances this patch where I'll press a health stone or a health potion, and that will be in my fucking death log as I bleed out to something. I never in the history of this game have bled out after pressing health stone. How is that real?
Yeah, I think that's like an overarching theme of the raid. I know you're asking about Nexus King in general, but like, there's a lot of fights this tier where healing, you just kind of die. You want a personal for literally every mechanic. Like Forge Weaver has the Arcane Siphon, which just RNG bolts you. Like, Mythic Plusters didn't complain about bolts enough, so they brought it to raid. And I'm sure, like, on your guys' prog, you saw, like, somebody just gets bolts, 3 bolts in 0.8 seconds and just dies, and you're like, okay, like, what do I do there?
There was a Moonkin that liked to get 2 bolts in 0.8 seconds and just died. Not even 3. Didn't even need 3. For some reason, 2 took me out.
There was one time... Sorry, I was going to say, there was one time I got battle rezzed, immediately took a double Arcade Siphon and died again. Like, within a 0.1 seconds of me standing up, I fell down again. It's just like, what is wrong with healing?
That is good. I will say, my guild was going through the process during the King's Hunger. Like, so the damage amp phase is called King's Hunger, but there's like at the very end of the fight, there's a tick of Tyranny at the exact same time the last tick of King's Hunger finishes. So you have to have a defensive coming out of that intermission. And people were like, do you just empty the bag in terms of your defensives? And our raid leader goes, What do you mean empty the bag? We have Star Killer swings in like 40 seconds. There's no such thing as emptying the bag. You just have to press a defensive for everything. There's no such thing as emptying the bag.
The bag is always empty.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like, I think. Go ahead, Ro.
Oh yeah, that's some of the person in my chat pointed that out when I was streaming Prague. I was like, I've never heard the phrase "empty the bag" used more in any raid. Like there was literally be like, all right, third soak, everybody empty the bag. Like, okay, now it's the Oath Killer, empty the bag. Like, all right, now it's the intermission, our healer's struggling, empty the bag. Like, all right, now it's the burn, empty the bag. Like, okay, Star Killers use everything, and it's just like, bro, what is this, man? Like, why am I taking so much damage?
Yeah, it feels like everything on Nexus King just does 80% of your health. And if you're like it's like the Razagaz syndrome, where if you're like 75% health, you press your health bot right before mechanic comes out, and that's just like not a good spot to be in. Like, it's just not fun.
I'm like, so annoyed that you said 80% of your health, because it's genuinely 100 to 0 for me. Like, my spec is some fucking ass. Like, oh my god, I hate Moonkin.
I mean,
just press bear form. Just be a bear.
It's been the theme of the raid, though. There's been multiple EHP checks this EHP being effective health. Like, even the first boss, like the first week, people got stam checked on that boss from the tank explosion. And that's just like, wow. But yeah, other than the healing stuff on Nexus King, I think phase 1 is actually a more engaging phase. I have problems with it being the healing check, but also I think the ghosts are just like really tough to see. My guild has a weak aura that anytime you forget to put up Inky Black Potion, there's a weak aura that pops up that says use Inky Black Potion, because that just makes it easier to see. And like, I think that's just dumb. So
yeah. So I've actually kind of grown to like the ghost mechanic. Maybe I'm just fond of the Kaibeza thing, but I think the thing that I like about the ghost the most is that it spawns from your character, right? So seeing where the ghost goes in the middle of the field with all the spell animations and stuff, even with like the right graphic settings, is so tough. But what you can do, right, is look at your character and then see like, okay, one goes left, one goes right, the next one goes right again. And to me, that's like made it a lot more consistent. Like, actually, yeah, I don't know. I think early on it felt frustrating, but I guess the mastery of everything, now that I'm so many pulls in, has felt a lot better. Like, it's felt like so many of the things in the first 50 to 100 pulls that were tough feel very, very manageable, to the point where, and again, maybe I'm talking shit and then I'm just gonna feed all night tonight, but it feels like I've mastered a lot of these mechanics and that I can go the whole night without missing the ghost, or the whole night without getting hit by a beam, when it seemed basically impossible on the first day.
Part of it, I think, is you're ranged. Ranged have a lot easier time because the ghosts always spawn in a ring around the boss. So no matter what, you're working with like a 30-degree cone that you have to point at. Whereas melee have to do a full like 360 degrees because it can spawn all around them, while dodging beams on the last set.
It doesn't spawn relative to your position?
No. It spawns in a ring around the boss.
No, it's
like,
relative to the boss.
Why does it spawn sometimes like in the boss?
That is not intended.
A bug? Okay, dude. There's sometimes for our ranged only. Sometimes it spawns in the boss's hitbox, and we can't figure out why. And it's like it makes it almost impossible to actually even be able to see those ghosts if they're spawning in the boss's hitbox. And you're like, where the fuck is my ghost?
Yeah, it's supposed to spawn in a ring around the boss. If it spawns out of the boss, I believe it is a bug, but you kind of just have to, like Growl said, watch where it comes out of your body. But for range, it's really easy. You just stand at range, all the beams miss you, and you just kind of slowly look left and right, and that's it, and you're done. In melee, it's like the payphone meme, right? In melee, you're doing a 360 turn while also having to watch out for the last 4 beams, and it's like, holy crap.
I will say the healing very frustrating in general, though. I think that this has been one of the most interesting raids I've seen in a while. I like the raid. Like, from again, I didn't prog that much on Forge Weaver. I didn't prog that much on Salhadar. I have like 15 pulls total. I think this raid is actually quite good, and this is pre-Dimensius, but like I'm really interested in seeing how Dimensius goes. Although I am kind of expecting raid nerfs at some point. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they doing with that boss over there?
There's a lot of people stuck on this boss right now. One pro tip, by the way, you know how you mentioned the whole like empty the bag thing in the last phase. Star Killer swing is can be assigned. I don't know if you.
Yes. Yeah. It's nearest player, right?
Nearest player, and the clones always spawn behind Salhadar, so you can always like, if you wanted to, if you have if you have a personal up and you want to do the mechanic, just go stand by it, which I think helped out a lot.
The throw weapon thing is also it can also be assigned, or it's based on like proximity too, isn't it? What is it
Wait a
called?
second. The Star Killer swing. So the thing that you use to break the lines, the stars, is
Is hard assigned,
three
yeah.
closest.
Yeah, like the ghosts spawn that are going to start doing Star Killer Swing, and then they pick the nearest players.
Correct.
To
There
them.
is a lockout, so you can't have the same person do every one. But
Oh, okay.
they will
Don't tell
always,
my guild this.
they will.
I've been the way that I position myself, I haven't gotten it a single time, or I've gotten it like one time when everybody was dead. And now that you're saying that, I'm thinking back to where I go, and because like as a mage, I can do different things on the dodges for the lines normally, like after the suck, right?
Yeah.
And I always blink away from where the clones are, and I never ever get it. And I'm going to continue doing that.
Yeah, but that's I think there's a 4-star lock, a 3-star lockout or something after you get one. But yeah, that will help you if you have like a bunch of personals or something you want to do it. That will help your guild a lot. And then you could also
No.
Okay, fine.
What you're going to do is you're going to stay away from the ghost so you never get it. That's every single person who does this boss and listens to this. That is how they're going to use that information.
I
I
mean,
appreciate your for the betterment of the guild. Oh, if you have a personal and you want to do this, no. Nobody ever wants to do a mechanic ever.
I mean, Growl, you're gonna be like 3%, the final Star Killer swing. You're not gonna get it, and then somebody's gonna miss the Star, and you're gonna wipe. And you're like, damn, I wish I'd got that.
No, because Growl would have died to the fucking impact of the direct damage from the Star Killer.
As a mage.
he emptied the bag 6 minutes ago.
And yeah, I mean, the raid itself is weird. I hope there's some like small nerfs, mostly to the healing check, and some like really rough overlaps. Like Dimensius, it might have one of the worst. Like the reverse gravity mechanic is one of the worst mechanics they've ever made in the history of the game. I think that mechanic is not good. Spending 6 seconds in the air, 7 seconds in the air, where you literally can't press a single button, does not belong in a raid encounter.
What's worse, that or Mugsy Jail?
Mugsy Jail, you're at least hitting
Wait,
something, man.
what is the reverse gravity?
It's the one where you get set up. You get set up in the air, like you go to the back of the platform.
Oh,
and they rescue
yeah,
you.
and then someone has to drag you down.
Yeah.
That is like the definition of whenever you get a mechanic, you just sigh. Like when you see that, you're just like, ugh, and you just know your parse is fucked and your cooldowns are messed up. Like,
Dude,
I hate that.
Dude, like I literally get sent up, especially because as an evoker, you're always assigned to one of the back ones because you have movement, and you just get sent up in the air. I just go look at my phone for like. People just go on TikTok for like 2 scrolls or something. Like it's so dumb, so bad. and the precision on it, because you know how you have to do like the Venn diagram, right? On Mythic, that Venn diagram is so small and so tight. You need 4 people to sit in that Venn diagram spot for a good like 3 to 4 seconds simultaneously. Very precise, very odd. But I hope that aspect gets nerfed. The rest of the fight, it's the same as Nexus King. You're like taking 80% of your health in chunks.
Just a bit of a rant here for a second. I mean, while the raid is fun, there are fundamental issues with healing currently. I mean, healers are too strong. The damage intake is insane to the point where you actually just 3 heal multiple bosses that historically should have been 4 healed because nothing actually, there's no actual healing. Everything is just your healer has to top you before the next one-shot damage instance. And so it's because everybody's got 5 defensives. You look at Mage, they got Ice Block, Alter Time, Mirror Image, Barrier, Mass Barrier. Well, I think I missed one. Ice Cold. Somehow I missed Ice Cold. They're 70% DR. And it's like you have these specs with 17 million HP. Meanwhile, somebody else is walking around with 15 million HP. So yeah, Blizzard, of course, is going to have a hard time tuning the goddamn game whenever everything is situated like this. So Blizzard really needs to be looking at this situation in Raid and honestly in Mythic Plus as well. Make healers a lot weaker and also lower the damage intake and delete some defensives. I don't think that there's any reason that a class should have more than 1 or 2 defensives at the absolute most. It is ridiculous.
What about for delves, Tuttles? We need all these defensives for delves.
Don't care, didn't ask, plus mole.
All right, one more random about Dimensius. You know how Raz is those random shots? The ads in phase 1 of Dimensius also are random shots. Except there's 4 of them, right? There's 4 ads,
Yeah.
4 random shots. Yeah, good times on that too. You get like 8 million AoE hit for the entire raid, then somebody just gets shot twice and dies. Good game.
Yeah, fission damage. I feel like fission and antimatter are like the 2 biggest damage in like controlled or not controlled, but like known damage intake.
Yeah.
There's also like what is it called? Supernova. I think that's the tank hit, isn't that? The tank knockback?
I have no idea what is that. It's just tank knock.
Tank knock. I'm pretty sure the tank knock also does unlimited damage to people too, doesn't it?
It does a pretty decent amount. It's only like 50%. No one really dies from that usually unless they go flying off the edge, but that is possible. Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, good for this game. You know how like the dragon riding, like there's some cores that are really tight, right? Like on heroic or even mythic, you know how you have to get all the cores.
Yeah.
They kind of unironically added a practice mode for that. You know, people have been bringing up like, can we add a practice mode to the raid to practice some like really difficult mechanics? You know, sticks, balls, stuff like that. Story mode actually does wonders for dragon riding practice for that mechanic. And I really think Blizzard should invest into a practice mode for some of the more difficult mechanics that they add, the more unique ones. Especially if they ever do like a vehicle encounter again or stuff like that. Like, I think it's a lot nicer for somebody to be like, I want to practice this mechanic. Let me do it so I don't let my 19 other players of the raid down.
What are other mechanics that you would have ever gone and practiced?
I don't think just that. I don't know. We're procking every rant. We got the defensive creep rant. We got the raid too hard rant. Now we're going into the delve rant again. To me, this is just absolutely so obviously what a delve should be, right? Like a delve should be you're like learning mechanics. Not story. No, not story mode, but like you have a means to practice things that you'll use in the end game, right? Like to me, a big part of the people that want to like, okay, solo content can be fun in and of itself, and I think that stuff is fun, but also like a big means of solo content can be to prepare you and get you ready for when you want to play team content. And why wouldn't you like imagine if you could have, I don't want to say like a story mode of the boss where it's like super easy. Like the problem with story mode or like LFR is you're just loot pinyating it, right? You're not doing story mode because you want to practice it and like, you know, try it a few times and learn the mechanics. You're doing story mode because of whatever the hell it gives you. You know, that's why you're doing LFR. Like you go into LFR, you just are watching a show on your other monitor and slamming the boss. Like an actual place where you can practice raid mechanics and like see. And you know, I feel like it's just so it's just such a missed opportunity for them to not have to use like okay the question mark Kai'Veza thing with the Kai'Veza mechanics was like amazing, right? Like the comparison between Nexus King and Kai'Veza and learning those mechanics and doing that was like it's awesome. Like they need to do this every single patch where there's like one of the harder bosses in the raid. They copy the mechanics. There's a single player challenge for it, and you get to learn the mechanics. And then like, yeah, I don't know. It's just to me, it's just such a missed opportunity.
I see where you're going, and that's why Blizzard this week is nerfing LFR Dimensius. I repeat, nerfing LFR Dimensius after receiving many reports from players that LFR Dimensius was unkillable, rivaling that of N'Zoth from patch 8.3. Right? That was the N'Zoth patch. Yeah, rivaling N'Zoth from patch 8.3. Dimensius coming in hot with a 0% completion rate for LFR players.
I thought you were gonna harken back to what was the boss like Cthulhu or whatever, the one that Ian Hazzikostas proved was impossible.
Mathematically impossible.
It's the most impossible boss. I'm pretty sure any LFR boss where you can get knocked off the map is the hardest LFR boss ever. Like I remember LFR Razageth was like you'd need a reps on that shit.
That it is the getting blown off the edge is the death of the LFR player.
Okay, I have to ask. Should LFR have a minimum skill level that you need to have in order to clear the content? I want to ask.
LFR should not exist. I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Normal is not hard, and story mode is for the people. Okay, so LFR, whenever it was, I heard a lot about this back like in Warlords, where Blizzard was talking about the purposes of LFR being that story mode experience for players who were trying to play the game. Now we literally have a mode called story mode. What do we need LFR for?
I agree with you.
This is ridiculous.
I think story mode is actually quite good. Like, very good for the game. You can practice stuff there for people who are solo. Like, you can do the content. Like, it's not overly punishing. It's, you
don't have to wait in a queue. You just get in there.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm just like, while it exists, should it have a minimum barrier to entry of not like being stupid? Even no matter how low the bar is, should there be a bar?
Well, I think that's the point of LFR, unfortunately. Like the point, this is why and we'll talk into this guy. We're going into literally every rant when we go into that.
Randomly jumping around.
But the whole point of queued content is in WoW is so that it's basically 0% failure, right? Like you queue into content and you're expected to be able to do it with anybody that queues in, and everybody can queue in, and it's just piss easy, right? Like that's sort of how it's always been. It changes a little bit. Like, okay, there's some harder bosses in LFR sometimes, and like thinking back to how Classic has been, like they do the Celestial dungeons or whatever, which are also giga easy, but you know, they're a bit more challenging than Heroics or whatever. But that's generally the point of queued content, is that you should, like, you go into queued content with your brain off. If you're somebody who knows WoW, obviously, if you're somebody who's new to the game, it's a good sort of training grounds and practice grounds to learn things. But for anybody who's been playing WoW for any amount of time, it's just, oh, it's a queue, turn brain off, don't care, don't look at my screen, mash buttons, one button rotation. Like that's exactly what that sort of stuff is for, I think.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I mean, that's why I think something we'll talk about a little later is why I don't think queued content should be unattainable.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay, before we move on to that, we have one last thing from the PvE discussion. Blizzard came through and actually nerfed Arakara and Halls of Atonement. The big nerf to Arakara I see is Venomous Spit from the Engorged Crawlers. Ability cooldown increased by 40%. They also nerfed the Starved Crawler health by 20%. This is the hardest boss in this dungeon. The healing on the move, the Gossamer Onslaught, which was the one that dropped the puddles underneath your feet, damage has been reduced by 17%. I think that this is based off the fact that a lot of healers were complaining about not being able to heal on the move. And then, then there's actually pretty good changes to Halls of Atonement, where they are making direct count changes, where there were 4 casters on top of Shards of Halkias sometimes, and they've reduced the number of depraved obliterators and collectors near each Shard of Halkias. I don't know what that's going to end up looking like, but that's good. And then enemy forces required reduced by 10% while reducing the density of creatures in the courtyard, and slasher value increased by 50%. These mobs were unpullably bad, so good changes all around. I actually think that Blizzard did a really good job, and these are smart tuning changes.
I think they are too. I think I would have liked to see one more change in Arakara. If you could make one further tuning change, what would it be? Because I have one.
One more?
Yeah.
Like for me or for the people?
Just whatever. Growl, you have
one? I'm thinking
alarm shrill from the stag shells doesn't pull the entire area if they ever go off.
Okay, I can see that.
It feels okay to me. I think the poisons were definitely the most problematic thing. Why? What did you have in mind?
I hate those giant beetles that reduce the damage taken of everything else in the pack. I hate those things. I would probably just either reduce or remove that 50% protection. And I think it was fine in Season 1 because that was the only thing they did. But now they also cast a massive AoE, and it's just so annoying.
You want to tell them, or do you want me to?
What?
In Season 1, they definitely did an AoE. They did a slam, it just wasn't a dot.
Yeah, they did the slam thing, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, did it AoE the raid?
Yes.
Yeah, they did it. It wasn't a dot, it was just a slam, remember?
Okay.
And then the one under the dungeon stunned you. You remember
I know the one at the end of the dungeon was just awful, but like
yeah, the other ones did the same slam, it just didn't stun you.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, so Arakara is a dungeon where the pulls can be very, very big. There's lots of like these tiny mobs. And I feel like those mobs doing that is their sort of way to balance things, balance classes that aren't super uncapped, and they want to give more value to single target damage. Like there's a reason there's 4 mini bosses in that dungeon, and there's still the big slam guys, and it's still like a giant pull dungeon. That's my thought as to why they do that. Yeah, I don't see them getting rid of it, but
I don't
that
either.
area is definitely annoying. But so we're coining a new term this week. It's called bolt slop, and it's whenever Blizzard just blindlessly throws mobs that just bolt you in packs that are just completely brutal and it makes no sense. And I think Halls of Atonement, the mobs that bolt you with the shards, is like the most obvious example of bolt slop of like.
Look at this pack! It's 4 casters. Who did this?
Yeah, like why are there bolters there? Like there's literally 2 mobs that are collectors, right? That have a cast that you have to stop, and there's another mob that has a chain cast and a dispel and AoE, and they're just all on top of each other. Funny enough, I've actually noticed the most successful pug route is you like walk around the side and you only pull the shard with the 1 collector, and you just don't even pull those obliterators over there just because those packs are so brutal. Yep. And it's like not very reasonable to expect in a pug to do that, but it's like actually unironically easier. But yeah, removing those casters, that was like, I mean, look, we can complain about Blizzard, but at the same time, they're they addressed this pretty quick in the season where they're realizing that this stuff is problems. I almost wonder if they over nerfed Halls. Like Halls definitely had a very low success rate in pugs, but they completely changed the count. Their count is going to be so much easier. They're removing some of the most dangerous mobs. They're doing a lot to that dungeon.
So...
Like they must have really. I don't remember if it was last week or when we looked at the success rates of dungeons, but the Hall, or maybe it was on Dorky's stream actually, but we were looking at the success rate of dungeons, and the success rate of Halls was so much lower than ever. It was like almost double the amount of depletes, if I remember, in Halls of Atonement than any other dungeon. And I mean, it makes sense, right? And I think that they look at the statistics of these things and they see that how much of a struggle this is in pugs. I know Dorky was talking about it because he needs like a ring or a trinket or something from there, so he's been pugging that dungeon, and he's been like, dude, this is absolute misery. This is so bad to pug this dungeon.
Yeah, it's funny. These ankle biter mobs are egregious too.
Oh
the dot that they put on people. These mobs are the ones, like the quintessential low key mob that doesn't matter, that you can just insta kill with a marksmanship hunter or a dev evoker, but if they have any health, they actually just eat you.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall these are good changes. I think we'll need to see what the Halls of Atonement, like how many they remove. Is it like 1 bolter? Or are we talking about like 3 of the 4? Like what are we talking about here?
I mean, even 1 bolter is just like,
I agree.
Yes, like that just makes such a big difference.
I mean,
minus 1 bolter from every shard pack is going to be so good, and then reducing like some of the packs like between first and second boss, making those easier is going to be huge too. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think Halls wasn't that far off. It was just really hard in a low coordination group, right? Like it was Halls and Priory, I kind of put in the same bucket of like, you can do them at the same level as any other key or maybe one off of it. But, if you just have a random group of people progging a level 12 key or whatever, doing a Halls is so much more difficult than doing something like an Eco Dome or a Gambit or whatever.
I think that... I'll coin a new term, boltflation. I think that the boltflation of trash mobs, where you just have a bunch of caster mobs that spam Holy Bolt and Fireball and Wicked Bolt, and if you have too many of them in a dungeon, it actually makes the dungeon really unfun, because it's such a heavy coordination check to have web mages that are spamming web bolts over and over again. If you have like two, and potentially even like 3 of them in a trash pack, or this is the reason I think that Halls of Atonement is actually really low success rate completion wise, is because it's just so many casters, and it's hard to play a bunch of casters if you don't have all 5 people in voice, and your focus, you have to be 100% focused. There's no break pulls. There's no time to relax. You're just locked in the entire time.
Is damage taken like burstier this season? Do you guys find? Because I feel like on a 10...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, on a 10, bolters still destroy you. Whereas before, like, bolters were what Blizzard intended them to be, which is, like, some triage damage. But, like, not a 10, it's just, like, bolt is, like, half your health.
So it's 2 things. First off, yes, exactly like you said, it is more damage. Secondly, Oracle Disc Priest is no longer a thing. Whenever I talked about it last season, I go, I wish that every healer felt like Oracle Disc does right now. And whenever I said that, I didn't mean like, oh, I want every healer to be shielding me, but I want every healer to be able to have agency over my health bar the same way an Oracle Disc Priest did. But now Oracle Disc is gone, and the damage intake has increased by a lot, and you're not getting shielded by this nice Disc Priest from LFG, and now you're just on death's door. If you get hit by one bolt, there's no recovery.
Yeah.
It's they press lay on hands on you, and all right, now I can live the next hit, but I couldn't.
Yeah, the other funny thing that I've noticed this season is I've one-shot myself on the shield and Priory twice now. I don't remember.
Left.
I don't remember. I'm not doing organized groups, Tettles. Right is for organized high key groups. Left is for pug groups and like chill groups.
All of my pugs go right.
Yeah, but that's because of Yoda, and a lot of people blame Yoda for that.
Well, they giga buffed the shield, remember?
Yeah, they buffed the size of the shield, but they didn't buff the reflect.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No, they buffed the reflect from. They buffed the reflect.
No. They buffed.
I'm talking to Clark Kent
this
about Superman here, so I have to be careful. Yeah, exactly. But
I
thought
wrote
for sure
this.
that they increased the reflect damage.
There are two spells on the reflect. One is the one that she puts up out of combat, and that was the one that is buffed. And then they kept the second one, which just increased the shield size but kept the reflect.
What?
Well, also, Jane B, I've one shot myself on that shield like 100 times. So that thing does a lot of damage either way. So
yeah. I feel like just damage done versus like health pools has just increased so much, or like the ratio there. Like I blade dance to my demon hunter, just one shot myself with Reaper's Mark. Like
Evade, evade. We have a ritual in the way that we do that dungeon with evade. He like needs a specific sequence of things to happen. I think he even like meta immunes the damage or something like that. Like he like does a blade because you like blade dance and then you meta and then you can death sweep, right? And I think that like if you blade dance right into meta directly, you can like immune some of the reflect damage.
It's something. It's something, all right.
I mean, I think what you're saying about dying in tens too is like the exact like definition of what I would call bolt slop. Like think about Ecodome, right? Which in their defense, they're like, we love Ecodome. This is a good model of a dungeon, which I agree. But like, okay, so if you think about the caster heavy area at the end, right? There's the Far Stalkers, but those are a very long cooldown bolt. Like any one person can tag that mob, I'm kicking this is my mob, and shut it down completely. Unless you're like a Shadow Priest or a Boomkin or whatever, but nobody cares about them. And the other mobs that bolt are the mobs that do the AoE damage. So they're not bolting you during their AoE damage, they're doing their AoE damage or bolting you. Now compare this to this area in Arakara between the first and second boss where you have the guys bolting you, right? And he has the AoE, okay? But then there's the big guy that also does the huge dot AoE, and there's the little tiny bugs that charge you and do damage there. So there's two different unavoidable sources of AoE damage while the guy is bolting you. So like the idea that you can leave this mob and he'll just get it, like it's Blizzard has explained it in the past as if a bolt mob is kind of like a caster version of an archer, right? Like it's intended to just stand there and shoot you. But like you have to be careful with where those mobs are, right? Like you can't just have mobs that do that random. Like it's the same sort of thing as Araz, where it's like if that was the only damage, the random bolts going out everywhere, that might be reasonable. But the fact that you can get this really, really heavy dot of the whatever the drops are for the spirits or whatever, and the mob is hitting you at the same time randomly, and you just like fall over if you don't have a defensive, like, and you have no way of knowing that it's going to do it. And that's how it feels in pugs, right? When you're in an organized group, you know, okay, you stop this, you kick this. But in a pug, if you have a bolt going on you, you have no idea if that bolt's going off or not, unless you're the one that's going to kick or stop it. It's a complete coin flip whether or not that bolt gets stopped if you're playing in a no comms pug.
Yeah, bolts suck.
All right, Squishy, you want to talk about reading comprehension this week?
Oh, yeah. So this was posted to Reddit and a bunch of Discords, and a lot of people were like, "This means solo queue's coming. Solo queue's coming." Like, so for what it is a picture of a survey that says basically the World of Warcraft team is exploring changes to the pre-made group finder to improve the experience of creating dungeon groups, and it highlighted creating dungeon groups. And there are a couple things here. I can't actually read it right now. I don't have it up. Titles if you want to read the rest of it, or Growl.
Group finder can automatically form a group for you based on criteria you set as a group leader. This was the one that I think that caught a bunch of people. They piqued their interest in regards to solo queue and Mythic Plus. The next one was group leader's key is resilient. aka protected from depletion for the first group they lead each week. Secondly, the next thing is group leaders receive additional crests after completion of the dungeon. Group leaders receive additional valor stones after the completion of a dungeon. Group finder will recommend players with a similar skill level to you as a group leader. I don't know why they would do that. I want people who are better than me, not similar skill. Please recommend people who are better. Group finder will recommend players with similar playstyles or goals to you as a group leader. And then it's like basically how interested are you in these people or in these features of LFG. So, how did this get blown out of proportion, Squishy?
So, a lot of people, I think, read the first one and was like, automatically finds a group for you based on criteria, and read that as solo queue. Or solo queue as we know it, which is, you press a button and you just get thrown into a lobby with a group. And I don't think that this is what this is going for. I think here, Blizzard is very clearly looking at maintaining there is somebody that is a designated leader of creating the group, and people that are joining a group. And I think that's the difference between that and what people want from solo queue. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I don't know. I actually sort of think of things as a different way, so maybe I'll take the other side here. Like, in my opinion, Group Finder doesn't really change in any way unless unless the two people get paired together out of their own, I don't want to say like not in their will, but unless they're paired together and then put in the key. So like, for example, like how could it be different at all if at the end of the day there's still a group leader who gets to click a checkbox or an X by your name? Like, it's only just giving you more information, I guess, right? Like, are you saying that you want to filter people out that are applying, or like how would Group Finder change in any meaningful way unless it's literally pairing people together and then you're in the group and you're in the key now and you didn't approve each other, right? Like how would it be different?
I mean, the word here, criteria, is it sounds like you're adding additional filter options to be able to filter out people. Be like, you know what? I hate shaman players. To hell with them. You know what? DPS.
Yeah, but like
druids,
that's nothing, right? Like
to hell with them too.
You can
Filter
literally
it
use
out.
add-ons for that.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I feel like that has there's just been a lot of talk about M+, right? In the fact that it's such a fun game mode, but there's this frustration of finding people to play with and getting a group and blah, 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 right? And part of that revolves around keys having scarcity, which is a cool part that people don't like to acknowledge, but is true. But at the end of the day, like that, you're always going to have that problem unless you physically pair people together and throw them in the key, right? Like this, let's say this isn't a queued system, right? Where it's just LFG improvement. Like how different could it really be? I mean, I guess you can make sure everybody in your group is no leaver or, but to me, that's like such a nothing burger. That's like it would be such a disappointing update if they're like, we're redoing the LFG and then all it is like you get a couple more filters or information or checkboxes, because add-ons can literally do that. Like we can do that already. People use the Raider IO add-on and whatever. Like,
is this an unpopular take? Like, I don't think that anything really needs to change out of the LFG system. I think that Blizzard genuinely just needs more tank players. Like if somehow you could double the amount of tank players that happen overnight, you probably wouldn't have twice as many groups running, but you'd probably have 1.5x, maybe 1.75x as many groups running as currently. And I think that then puts the situation where tanks then should at least be more closely aligned with the average skill of the rest of the group. Because right now, in most groups that are running an LFG, you probably take a tank that's 100 points below the rest of the group, something like that, because you need a tank. Like you're not getting anybody better than that guy. That good enough for me. I need that guy. And it's like I feel like the tank scarcity and the bottlenecking due to groups being able to form, not being able to form because there's just not enough tanks. I feel like that is the biggest problem that's facing LFG. Nothing to do with the system itself. I mean, the system could always get better, and I think that this one at the bottom where it's like Group Finder will recommend players with similar playstyles or goals as the group leader. I don't see there possibly being a problem with that. Like if you give more options for what your goals are as a player and helping you, and it recommends people with similar playstyles to you, that to me just sounds like a blanket improvement. But at the same time, that's not going to create for an actual tangible experience difference. It's just going to be like, I feel like you're gonna have the exact same thing, except we're gonna have this this very minor new feature. I think that we need more tanks. I feel like is the only real way to make LFG and experiences in Mythic Plus like better.
Yeah. I would be curious why they made this survey, because realistically, this is a survey that is like not necessarily that they're going to do these things, but seeing what would move the needle on creating more groups, right? Like one of the avenues, it may not be the main reason that we think, but one of the avenues for creating a group faster is to create your own group. We pitch that all the time. And one of the comments that we always see is, I don't want to make my own group. I'm lazy or whatever. So I think this is like, what would cause these, some subset of people to be like, you know what? That is rewarding enough for me to go from I'm lazy to I'm going to create a group. And I mean, I think it's two parts. I think tanks and healers is the biggest issue, because you could like increase the number of groups by 3 times and you probably would have the same amount of groups running.
Yeah.
But I think
right, that's the point, right? That's the big point, is like, you can, like, as a random DPS player, you can go into LFG and list your key, but you're only going to get like, there's only so many tanks to go around.
Correct.
Like, that's the bottleneck of tanks. When I did my 0 to Hero series in Dragonflight, there were a lot of times when because that was the first time I'd ever played DPS in a 0 to Hero. There was a lot of times when I boot up, I press record, I go into LFG, I put my key, I get 2 DPS that are way overqualified, and then I sit there for upwards of sometimes 30 minutes. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I could tank a tank that is way, way underqualified, and sometimes I did, and sometimes good tanks applied, but, getting people to list their key in LFG, I don't think is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think that really. I think that there could be a little bit more done with making sure groups are aligned. Speaking of the lever system, for example, like making sure that everybody is cool with this is a no lever, or everybody, is only playing for score and they're just going to leave. That stuff could be slightly improved, but I think this is a case of the community is really hoping for Blizzard to do something big here, and it is probably not what's going to happen.
I think that there's more keys listed than there are tanks actively looking for groups most of the time too, as it currently stands. So like, I don't think that giving people additional benefits from, and I guess I don't know this to be true, right? Maybe Blizzard has better data on this, which is why they're asking. Maybe if more groups are actually being listed in LFG and you gave people these incentives of additional crests or valor stones or something like that, they'd be more inclined. But I think the bigger issue is just there aren't enough tanks to be able to currently fill the amount of groups that are performing. So having more groups being listed in LFG doesn't really do anything.
I mean, it is interesting though, from like a player behavior type thing, because they've said they are planning on improving the LFG feature in Midnight.
Yeah.
And if you are, let's say, a UI designer, you have no impact on the class side at all. So this might be a survey for the UI side of things of how can we try to address, what power do I have to address the problem? Maybe, a lot of the team are probably playing the game too, and they struggle to get in keys. And the UI designer's like, what do I have in my power besides going to go rant at the class team to make tanks more fun? And this might be data for them to try to improve it.
No, it 100% is. No, you're 100% right. And I think this is
right.
where we joked initially about the community going crazy or whatever, is that everyone's looking at this like, oh, it's 100% a solo queue system, right? Like this is them doing that. But based off of, based off of the way it's worded, it doesn't seem like it's a solo queue system, right? And if it's not a solo queue system, then there's not really much they can do here, is my point.
Is there anything that you would do? Like, I mean, they're talking about like additional crests or additional valor stones or anything like that. Is there anything that you would actually even do to be able to incentivize more people to actually list the key? The resilient protection for the first group they lead each week is kind of an interesting solution. I don't think that people would be super interested in that. Although I don't even think it's bad. Like, I think it's actually an interesting starting point.
I think it's an interesting starting point. I wonder, like, think about player behavior. Let's say that any one of the, like, the crests, valor stones, resilient, would the tanks not then just create the group? Would that not shift?
It's the first one you lead each week, right?
Okay. But what I'm saying is that if they make an incentive for more people to create a group, why the people who are in the most demand, aka the tanks, why would they not be the ones starting the groups now? And then they get to choose all the DPS and healers that join the group.
Because they're sheeple.
Well, because nobody I mean, some do, right? A lot of tanks do, but ultimately, you have tanks like Dorky who don't care, right? Who they
Yeah,
just
that's
want to
fair.
be lazy and they want to apply to groups. Like that's why I think is that they have the choice. Whereas, yeah, I mean, you can make a group and do all that, but yeah, I don't know. I think, and this is like not really a UI thing, but more like a changing the way the system works, is a lot of people have suggested the idea of keys having charges or whatever as like a failure protection. But I think maybe some sort of idea where everybody's key goes up or down, if that makes sense. And like it would give you more incentive to like do more keys in LFG, I guess. Like everyone's benefiting from doing this, and like maybe you don't mind as much doing homework because it's like, okay, you maybe like it takes 3 of a key to go up a level, but then 3 to go down or something. Like I don't just some way to maybe change the key system so that you're just like more incentivized to just kind of like game and do keys for fun rather than like, okay, the only 16 I need is Priory, and so I'm just going to do a filter for 16 Priories and then sit there in Dornigal for an hour and a half until I get one, and then, we depleted it in 1 second and leave or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be more healthy for Group Finder.
My gut reaction is that none of those actually move the needle as to how do you get people to stop being lazy and list their own key, but maybe they would be good. I don't really know. I feel like they need to think outside the box a little bit more with something like this. I don't think that like giving additional crests or valor stones or giving resilient protection is the right approach to making more group leaders, because it's more
also
like
just
sorry, what were we gonna say?
Oh, I was just going to say, it's also just a weird situation because what is the absolute best way to experience Mythic Plus in the Keystone system? It's to have friends or guildies and play with the same people, right? That way you progress keys, you learn together, you can re-roll each other's keys and whose key has what, right? Like you are so highly incentivized to just find a couple buds and play with and stick together. But the way people play in not just World of Warcraft, but every game is everyone just does not want to do that, right? Like no matter how appealing that part is of like grouping up and making friends and playing together, everyone just wants I don't know. It's one of those things where like, I don't know, maybe it's like a truck stop donkey hole thing where maybe Blizzard shouldn't make the solo experience better. Like maybe they just say, fine, like if you want to suffer and pug LFG by yourself all day, then that's fine. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think that I think the point that we're getting at is it's just hard to find a solution, right? Like, how do you make solo LFG playing good in the first place?
It's just really not.
Unless the only idea that I've had, and this is like radically out of control, and that I don't think they would ever do, is like almost treating it like a queued game, right? Where you queue in, you have a rating, you can win or lose rating, and then like you're given a key and a team based off of what your rating is, and then like you have to maintain some amount of win rate, and it's not a matter of, but it's like a completely different system, right? Whereas like let's say you're progging 18 keys normally, you're not getting put into an 18 key, you're getting put into a 16 key, and it's more about how consistent can you do these keys, and then as you get a high enough win rate, then you move up to 17. Like, but this is so out of place in WoW, right?
It only works.
This would never happen.
That only works if you only care about rating, right? There's so many people who do dungeons for not rating purposes, right? Whether it be weekly, you're trying to fill up your weekly vault, end of dungeon spam for gear. Those are other reasons that people key a lot. Not everybody's keying for score.
You could have a queue, right? Like you could have a queue for 10s, and you could just spit, similar into it in a way that a game has ranked or unranked, right? Like what if as soon as you get an achievement, right, like you get all-time 10s or whatever, then okay, now you've unlocked Mythic Plus, and then you have that mode, and then you also have the ability to just like queue for a weekly with a
really good job to separate out the player base here. I'm sure this won't increase queue times at all.
No, I'm not pitching this as like a good idea or like they're gonna do this or anything. It's just simply like a thought of like, in what world could they take the good parts of Mythic Plus and then still make it like reasonably accessible for like a solo player? But yeah, you're completely right in that they're ripping an entire part of an MMO out and making it like a stand. This is almost like something that you would see in Fellowship, right? Like a standalone game rather than it's part of World of Warcraft.
Okay, so I have an interesting anecdote here that I just thought of. So let's say they randomly do fix the tank and healer issue, right?
Yeah, sure.
A perfect amount, perfect ratio. In some miracle, they managed to fix it and make tanks and healers super fun and just match the DPS. I actually think they're still gonna have an issue with people not making groups, which is what this is targeted at. Because I used to play Destiny, and in Destiny there are no roles, aka you are running every raid with 60 PS, and even then, in the LFG channels, you have a bunch of people spamming LFG raid, and very few groups actually creating a group for the raid. And that's because when you create a group for the raid, you are ultimately responsible for making sure that the applicants are capable of doing the content. So you're checking stuff like Destiny's version of Radar.io and Warcraft logs and stuff like that. And I think that, like, even if they solve the tank and healer issue, incentivizing people to create it is actually very worth it. But it's a step two.
Sort of. I think I think
Yeah.
it falls a little, like, I understand what you're saying, and it does apply a little bit, but I think it falls a little bit short because of the bite-sized nature of M+, right? Like, I think that's why people like M+, is the fact that if you end up with 4 zoo animals, then it's like, whatever, I only burnt 30 minutes of my time, whereas, like, you know, building, like, as long as it doesn't take too long to form the group, it's not so bad. But in a raid setting, like, I think a WoW raid pug is more aligned to this, right? Of like, you're in charge of, you know, making sure people know what's going on and like kicking people who are underperforming or like doing this, right? Like, there's way more involved in that. So it's definitely good. Don't get me wrong, to get people forming groups, but yeah, I think it's just, it would go a long way if there were more tanks for sure.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things that's been lost is like people's ability to be able to socialize in the game, and that to me is the part that's is honestly the most concerning. Obviously, the tank bottleneck is really bad, but people not being in guilds, not socializing, and trying to be this solo martyr, kind of like Growl was talking about, where you're only playing the game as a solo player. That is really, it's really hard, and it's honestly not very fun. Like, hats off to you if you enjoy playing the game that way, but it is really hard to play the game that way. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that guilds and raiding just became less and less popular, so you were no longer exposed to people with similar schedules to you, right? There's always guilds for everybody. Even if you can only commit 6 hours a week to raid, there are still guilds that raid 2 nights a week, 3 hours a night, or Squishy has a weekend guild that raids 1 day a week and they get cutting edge. There's a guild for everybody, but like people's unwillingness to like actually commit to raids and like meet new friends is now, I would say, holding them back a little bit in terms of being able to actually find new people to play with too, which then creates this situation where we need better tools in LFG to be able to matchmake people together.
It's tough.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of saying about the idea that maybe they shouldn't make the solo experience better, because ultimately you kind of have to force people. I mean, you're laughing, but like,
no,
like,
I understand.
Hold on, keep cooking. I'm listening.
You have to force people to get it. Like, you're never gonna team up with people and be social and interact unless you have to, right? Like, that was part of the deal with, like, you know, thinking back to Classic, for example, right? Is you have this mob and you literally can't kill it, right? Like, you can't kill it unless you like party up with somebody, and you sort of like get pushed into this, you know, it's sort of like a world boss, right? But somehow it's like there's either not, I don't know, because I guess there is some of that in WoW, but it just feels so like, you know, like if you join a world boss group and it's just like the biggest joke ever, right? Like, you just go into LFG, you sign up, whoever's the group leader has like an auto invite thing on, half the people are AFK, like you're AFK, and then it's just, that's not even really that much of a social situation, right? Unless someone goes out of their way. I don't know. The way Dorky explains it is, I think it's kind of funny. It's just like, I don't know, everyone's just like AI now. Like, you just go in and everyone's just like a robot, and like no one wants to, and then it turns you off from wanting to, right? Like, when everyone else is a goofy robot or like doesn't care, then you don't really want to care too, because why would you socialize with all these clankers? And it's like, I don't know. It's a tough. I know people are, you know, that's why you guys are laughing, is because people are going to get angry at me. Oh, we want our solo queue, blah blah blah. But it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, you also want a chest in Donegal that you can open every day that just gives you a myth item for free, but like, that doesn't mean it makes the game good or that it'll increase your long-term enjoyment, you know?
I mean,
like,
that's how I feel about LFR. Like, there needs to be some level of bar, otherwise people are just not ever going to learn. Same thing with normal mode. Like, if people can just trivialize the content, they're never going to learn, and that's kind of how I feel about that too. Like, all right, it's an elitist take, but like,
let me take my swing at triggering the comment section real quick. let me just follow
And we
this
still
up.
got to get into resilient keys later too. So.
You got to talk about Turtle WoW here in a moment too.
Oh, nice.
What do you guys think about profession gear? Because as time has gone on, initially I was interested in profession gear, but it pretty undeniably has made the gearing over the last few seasons really bad. Obviously, you have a bunch of slots locked down due to other reasons such as tier, reshi wraps, that kind of stuff. But man, does it not just feel terrible to like craft a two-handed weapon every single season? Yeah, like I feel like there's something wrong with profession gear. On one hand, it's good for the game because it gets Mythic Plus players closer gear, I would say, because you were able to have within 3 item levels difference of the rest of the game to like have gear that's obtainable and is deterministic. At the same time, it just doesn't feel really good to get rewards anymore because profession gear is just so strong, and particularly geared towards like weapons and embellishment pieces and stuff like that. It just feels really weird now whenever you get an upgrade where it's like the minimum would have been just me crafting over this necklace or crafting over these bracers, but instead now I have a 3 item level gain, and you're like, what?
It's funny because I think this season the only upgrades that you get on a character are 2 rings, 2 trinkets, and your off piece.
A neck.
And a neck. And everything else is like relatively you want one thing and one thing only. And it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think every guild that I know, like that I've talked to, is just like, this tier's our loot sucks. Our loot sucks this tier. Our loot sucks, like over and over again, because your loot in raid is determined by, I'm pretty sure, specifically trinkets. Did your boss drop astral antenna? If yes, you felt like you have good loot. If no, you feel like you have shit loot, because that's all you care about. That
trinket does not exist.
Oh yeah, we've killed it 3 times and got 4 times and gotten 0 on Mythic.
Like, we're on like 0 Forge Weaver trinket. We've actually got a few antennas. We are like, I think we have generationally bad RNG on Forge Weaver trinkets.
Dude, the antenna trinket, we did this. We're not like this tryhard. We were just like bored in Discord. We did a 5-person split where we took 5 people in a group. 4 of them were just friends that were on alts that were going to trade. And then 1 person was the antenna getter. And we would join a heroic pug, do Lumathar. We went through 5 Lumathars and none of them dropped. Yeah. We didn't see a single antenna, not even like we didn't win one or anything. Not one antenna dropped out of 5 different raids that we did on 5 different characters. And it's like, what the heck is this? Like, I don't know. I think this is the thing, right? This is why gearing is like this, though. I'm sitting here I'm the high-end player who's complaining that I don't get my 1% DPS upgrade trinket. So what do? They normalize gear and they make it so, well, you craft a weapon every single season. Now we're like, this is boring. So unfortunately, this is the direction that WoW has become. Again, going back to Classic, where you get some crazy freaking weapon, then it just does 20% more damage than everybody in the raid, and it's just so bullshit, right? Does it feel cool if you're the guy that gets that weapon? Oh yeah, it does. But overall, like, that there's texture in that. There's highs and lows, and everyone is so hyper focused on balance and fairness that, even this idea that one random myth track item from the hard mode Tazavesh got a lot of people upset, right? And realistically, it makes such a little difference, but that's where we are in WoW now.
Yeah.
And I don't really, like, personally, I love the RNG of it and the bullshit of it, and a lot of people won't like that, but I just think that there's so much more fun and way more texture and gearing. But WoW just isn't really that kind of game anymore where you just have fun and get crazy items. Like, the crazy item that you get is the Lumathar trinket, right? That's, feels rare and feels crazy when you get it, but realistically, it has no impact on your gameplay. And such a, maybe it gives you a couple % damage if you had a really bad trinket, but it's nothing compared to, having all these different gear slots and different things and ways your guy can change. And then there's the catalyst too, right? Where it feels like shit to not get your tier early on, but now it's like, if you play the game, you have 2 or 3 tier slots immediately week 1, and then the second catalyst charge, you're basically guaranteed to have 4-piece at that point. Unless you're really unlucky.
So the weapons and the profession gear thing, I think it's just, maybe it's that it's just so easy to get the gear that it's kind of like, because at least with the catalyst, or you have to have the piece, right? Or with some of these other pieces of gear, you have to actually go out of your way to obtain the piece. Whereas with professions, it just spawns out of the crafting like orders.
Yeah.
Like it just get
I
it
mean,
mailed to me.
I get 3. I do 3 delves on some of my alts a week just to get Gilded Crests, and they have all mythic weapons. Like they have mythic weapons, and is that
I
where
don't
it should
know.
be? I don't know. Like it feels good, but like
Yeah, like
It's not even just a mythic weapon too. It's like a max. What is it? 3 item levels below max.
yeah, with
Yeah,
an
It's
embellishment.
not even like, oh, you get a myth-track weapon. You get a crazy good
So-
weapon. Like that's how my priest and my druid were. Was I literally went from last season's bis to crafting a crafted weapon that's giga myth, and then eventually I might get some crazy myth weapon with leech out of my vault and then upgrade that. But for the most part, like it just feels a little weird starting the tier with a bis weapon on week 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it too, because like on one hand it's good for Mythic Plus people, but also it makes gearing feel really weird, and so I'm kind of at a loss. Like,
All
is
right.
Blizzard supposed to change this or not?
Bring back Titan Forging.
What if they slow down? Oh no. Okay, now Switch
The podcast is
aggroing
dead.
people from the comments. Oh man, downvote. The 7 people that are still listening after our rants are now just they're downvoting and leaving now.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, what if they maybe delay the sparks? Like, is it such a bad thing to maybe like sparks are maybe used as like a bad luck protection catch up, as opposed to like literally day 1 the raid comes out, you're making a myth weapon? Like, what if you don't get sparks until a month of
What
the
if
patch?
embellishments also just get deleted in this hypothetical world? Embellishments suck.
I think in general, the crafting system is a good baseline. I think it's Blizzard doesn't do any innovation on them. We've had the exact same crafting system now since Dragonflight with no innovation, right? Like they brought in new embellishments for War Within. That's basically it. I think there's some world where crafting exists and it's actually kind of interesting and changes your gearing from season to season, such as like this season your spark can only be used on these gear slots. This season it is a weapon. This season it's a weapon, a ring, a neck, and gloves. Next season it's only available on a trinket, bracers, helm, etc., etc. Like so, like you change it up from season to season so that there's at least some innovation on it, and you're not doing the same weapon, bracers. Like
it's a formula, right? That's the problem with it. Yeah,
because you think about other games, like what is a season in like Marvel Rivals or any other seasonal game? Usually, there's some kind of seasonal change that happens. There's some tuning. There's these heroes have some cool interaction now, or these abilities are buffed for this season only. Like there's usually something, and Blizzard like doesn't do that in WoW. We get new dungeons, we get a new raid, we get new trinkets, and everything else kind of stays the same. And so I think we could see maybe more innovation.
It might be a little bit much. It might be a little bit much with all the like the Cersei's circlet and the delve belt and stuff. But I see what you're saying. Like I sort of agree. I mean, maybe just as simple as changing up what the OP embellishments are, like making some bullshit embellishment or two every single season that's themed with the raid, and then like it's basically a no-brainer that you make those, but at least it like changes things up.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, who even like what is the deal? Like, do people interact with and enjoy the profession system right now? Now I'm on Illidan Horde, which is like the biggest server ever, but basically, I mean, the profession system right now is pretty much dominated by like a small handful of guys, like the quote unquote crafting cartel, and they just have these add-ons or bots or whatever where it just scans all of the chats and immediately DMs people with like a pre-written message and shit. Like, if you're somebody who has like just is trying to do it natty, I mean, you're like not doing anything. Like, you're not making anything for anybody. You're not making money. Like, you're literally RPing as a profession guy by doing these patron orders and making random items for NPCs for 50 gold. Like, are there people that are still interacting with and enjoying the profession system? Like, I don't know, maybe on smaller servers where these like really big crafting guys are, but like, dude, there's one guy on my server. He literally makes every single item for me, every single patch on every single character, because he's always there. He's always there in Donegal. He's always spamming trade chat, and I just link an item, whatever I need. He immediately DMs me with his pre-written script, and then I just make it, and it's just like it's the same guy every time. And it's like, well, if it's one guy who's doing this entire server, like how many people could really be having fun with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we went from season 1. You remember Lariat? Then they nuked it, and then it was like Blue Silk and Lining for a little bit. Maybe if it was just like OP bullshit embellishments every single season,
Like,
it would be
okay,
more interesting.
like think about this, right? Like they don't even need to necessarily create anything new. Coming into the season, if they just took all 8 of the Delve Belt powers, killed the Delve Belt, and just make those 8 powers as embellishments, I feel like that may not have been the coolest. Like we just had those, but at least like there's something new to work alongside your current stuff.
All right, yeah. I'm convinced. I don't think that profession gearing needs to go. It needs to just be more innovative as opposed to it being like this formulaic thing season in and season out. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Growl, have you seen the lawsuit
up?
that Blizzard levied against Turtle WoW?
Yeah, so man, I'm gonna be really farming L's today. So for people that aren't familiar, there are several private servers. I mean, there's tons and tons of private servers, but there's some big ones. Turtle WoW is one of them. I believe Ascension is another popular one that are basically they're like modded WoW. Like they change the rules, they change the way certain classes work. There might be custom classes or custom dungeons or raids or whatever. And there are like, a pretty big community of people that enjoy these servers. And well, they're kind of using Blizzard's WoW stuff, and Blizzard doesn't want that. Blizzard wants you to pay their subscription. So Blizzard, eventually one of these servers gets big enough when Blizzard sends their lawyers on them and kills them. Previously, I felt like there was a little bit of justification for private servers because there was no classic, right? Like you couldn't play vanilla WoW anymore. And so it was like when, what was it? Nostalrius got shut down way back when. It was like kind of bullshit, right? Because it was like, hey, we can't, you're not even offering this game anymore. We want to play it. But, just now that they have classic and SOD and stuff, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I understand why. Also, for people that are a little bit like aren't as familiar or out of the loop, bro, Turtle WoW. I don't know specifically about Turtle WoW, allegedly, but almost all of these private servers are super greedy assholes, and they like sell gold and like sell items, and they have like corrupt mods and admins and shit. I'm not speaking about Turtle WoW specifically. I'm just saying private servers in general. And I actually do think while there is some portion of the community that plays Turtle WoW because it's fun and it's different, I think a majority of the people that play private servers do it because it's free and because they just want to play WoW for free. And you may be in a part of the world where that's WoW, that's a lot of money, and I'm not trying, I sympathize with those people, but at the same time, like obviously Blizzard is going to crack down on those people, right? It's the same reason like we can all be super mad about the early access stuff, but at the end of the day, like it's just free money for Blizzard, so why wouldn't they do it? It's an unfortunate truth of the matter.
I have nothing else to add to that. So
Nothing else.
Oh yeah, I mean, basically, the summary is that people are really, really mad. There's lots of people that play on these private servers. Blizzard is going to shut them down, and apparently, Turtle WoW is, from last I heard, they're trying to Giga Chad Blizzard back, and they're basically saying, nope, we're not shutting down. Blizzard's not going to do anything to us. We're just going to stay up. Which, good luck with that one.
That's not how that works. Good luck.
Good luck with that one.
I will say, people are really dumb and then are like, Blizzard should allow them to infringe on their intellectual property. I don't see what the problem is. Or even the better one is like, they should hire all the developers from Turtle WoW and rev share with them. Like, motherfucker, what is a job? Like, what do you mean rev share with them? What is a job?
And like, let's be clear here, right? Like, obviously, the idea of modded WoW where people running servers the way they want to is cool. And obviously, like, big bad Blizzard going after people is not, like, I'm not saying these guys are criminals, they're even doing bad stuff, but this is the world we live in, right? Like, if you're sitting here saying, like, if you think Blizzard is going to do anything else other than just go after these people and then shut them down, you're just kind of delusional, right? I'm not saying it's the right thing or the wrong thing or that, all I'm saying is, like, dude, this was so obvious that this was going to happen. The fact that they did what they did for so long is, like, ridiculous.
I'm right there with you. Like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it, but also at the same time, you can't be delusional and think that they're not doing something illegal, like, and they can't get in trouble for it. Like, clearly their server can get shut down at any time. That's the point of a private server, right? You kind of know that whenever you're playing a private server.
I mean, I will say, I think going up against Microsoft is also a choice.
Yep.
Oh my God, Bill Gates.
They have a
Also,
lot of
there's
money.
some great drama.
Oh,
There's some great drama around this too. We don't need to should play it on the pod or whatever because it's a little it's a little harsh. But Peo on Twitter he's a big classic Andy. He was popping off about how Turtle WoW servers ran better than Blizzard, basically shitting on Blizzard for shutting down Turtle WoW, which is like a man of the people take, but that's not going to do anything. And then Zerwo responded basically saying like, you don't know what you're talking about. Blizzard server handles way more people. The private server is small. It's like it's obvious why it's easier for Turtle WoW to run better. And Peo just goes on this 1 minute long rant, just like shitting on retail players and like going off on Zerwo and Echo and how they lost 3 Race to World First. It's like some pretty good drama if you want to dig that up. It was a pretty well-known Peo clip and a Twitter battle that's now gone on between Peo and I guess all of Echo now he just hates.
It was so dumb. He goes, explain it like I'm 5, why Turtle WoW doesn't have their servers lag, but yet Blizzard does. And Zervo goes, Blizzard server big, tens of thousands of people. Turtle server small, hundreds. And then Peo got mad.
Yeah, and I mean, in his rant, he literally said it like, if this was one of my classic friends, I wouldn't have gotten mad, but because this guy's a retail player, fuck you, you suck, I hate you, go die or something.
Yeah.
Jesus. What the heck? Oh.
That was wild. Okay, you guys want to see something good?
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
always.
Check this out. All right, I've configured my vault. Simulate. Antenna. No! We get a catalyst this week, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wait, I have a myth track helmet. No, man, it's all downgrades. Oh, my God. I guess I could take this side grade belt. All right, Growl, what do you got for this week? Where's Mage? Are you 2 or 3 slots in raid?
I was configuring mine. Okay, you can just do mine.
Yeah, I'll
that makes
configure
more
yours.
sense.
I'll configure yours.
So, do you believe? Look, I'm a believer. I think we kill Nexus King tonight. I think we do it.
Are you
Are you 2 or 3
So,
slots, man? I believe in Fractalus on here.
Well, you get this, Tuttles. Believe.
Don't you have a new tank?
Yeah, no, dude, he did great last night. He did great. Yeah, we overtimed. I forgot to say that we overtimed for 4 hours last night. But overtime is the new normal time. But anyway, all right, come on, believe me, Tuttles. I got 8 dungeons done, all +10s, and
Okay.
I got 3 Mythic Vault slots with Nexus King dead.
I'm leaving this on
Believe in me.
Fractalus. All right, we're spinning it. Oh, it's
Ooh.
loaded.
Oh, I can't see it for some reason. My thing's bugged.
You don't need to see
Read it out. No. Pretend I'm an audio only listener. Read it
Alright,
out. What's in my vault?
We got the Fractalus Last Breath offhand, the Nazrini's Mystic Lash, the garbage
That
trinket
thing
from
sucks.
Soulbinder, the Interloper Silk Striders,
It's boots.
not the Soul Hunter's boots. You got Haste Mastery Shoulders or Mastery Haste Shoulders from Mythic Plus. The neck from Tazavesh that's crit haste, and then the Solia's secret technique.
I think I'm taking the Myth Shoulders here.
Okay, myth shoulders. Wait,
I think I'm taking
just
the Myth
happened?
Shoulders
You
here.
just you were actually just trying to take it, like actually.
You just
Oh,
tried to take it out of the vault.
It redirected me.
Please,
It redirected me to Wowhead. Okay,
That's
we're good.
so funny. That's
All right,
so
Squishy,
funny.
what do we got? What do we got for you this week?
3 and 3 with Nexus King dead.
3 and 3 with the Salhadar. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's Prez.
Oh, Squishy's killed Nexus
Yeah, we
King, but
killed it.
Google's
Dude,
killed
we
King.
Well, they already
the-
killed it.
We
Okay,
wiped
okay.
it 7% on the first time because someone missed the star.
Oh my God, it's
Ooh.
Biss.
Oh my God, it's an
Biss.
Araz Trinky.
Do you need that?
I do need that.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah, there we go.
Now this is goated stream content.
Yeah.
Okay,
Waffle Cat Weekly Simulation.
my cool thing. I don't know if any of you mentioned this, but make sure you have a belt for however long before 11.2.5 comes out. Because the Delve belt is getting nerfed by like 20 or 25% or something like that. So like it's probably not going to be Abyss for a lot of classes. So make sure you have a belt Like belts are no longer dead, coming in however long it takes.
What an absolutely strange thing that they did with this delve belt. Like they basically put it in the game and you had to upgrade it, and then like they're like, oh, this is too, but you only do a level 1 delve and it takes like 2 seconds to do it, but you just have to like run over there and do it on every single character. And then it was like the BIS belt for every class going into this patch. Then they nerf the belt. Have like, what are they doing with this, man? I feel like they've iterated on this idea of like having an item like this multiple times now. How do they not have a good system for this yet?
Your guess is as good as mine. I remember this happened with the Onyx Amulet, the Cersei Circlet, and now the Mole Belt. So we are 3 for 3 on items from last patch moving into the new patch and being this.
I mean, it's just weird. I mean, it's one of the things that caused Gearing to be so weird because belts were also dead. But at least now, like, personally, I think it's okay because I believe Turbo Boost starts when 11.2.5 releases as well, which is when this Delve belt comes in. So, like, you definitely want a Myth Track belt when 11.2.5 hits.
Whatever that is.
Yep. Whenever. You got the dates on that?
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Also, Squishy, you were supposed to post the raid nerfs to Wowhead during our podcast.
Oh yeah. My bad.
Can you read those off?
Yeah. Those raid nerfs that Blizzard always posts ahead of time, and I don't dredge up from the data files on reset and then post them to everybody. Yeah, those ones. So find out tomorrow if there's any raid nerfs tomorrow. Or today. All right, what do you got today?
Okay. You want to move on to Q&A? Anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. First question from Two Joints. He says, got kicked from a 10 key having time 10s already because I didn't have sockets in my champion/hero track rings and neck. Then got whispered, socket your shit, bro. What are your thoughts on your thoughts if this is valid or bad players thinking they need to min-max a weekly? Personally, I don't waste resources on sockets till I get BIST, hero, or close to it. I'm not going to waste sockets on delve champion track rings. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, also operate under the same principle of I don't socket or use consumes unless I'm trying to push content. Normally, it's even more egregious. Like through my 0 to hero last season on my shaman, I didn't enchant my shit for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? When he says he got kicked, I'm assuming what happened is he applied to the group, he joined, the guy inspected him, and then he said, you're a rat, and kicked him, right?
Yes.
In my opinion, that he has every right to do that. Like, I don't know. It's his group. Like, it's one thing if he, like, griefs him or is, like, super mean about it or, like, started the, anything. But, like, if you invite some guy and he looks like a rat and you think it's important that you care about your character and you don't, he has every right to not play with you. I think that's fine. I mean, and first of all, I see nothing wrong. Like, by the way, you absolutely don't need enchants and all this stuff. You don't need any of this. And like, I definitely do that too on my characters. At the same time, like, everyone decides in their own way who they want to play with and why. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Also, some of you guys are fucking rats. I was watching Dorky's stream yesterday and he joins a group and it was like not even like it was not even a 10 key. It was like a 12 or 13, I think. 2 of the people in the group didn't even have their cape enchanted. This was the legendary cape that you got on day 1 of the patch. How is that not enchanted? What are you waiting for?
Okay.
You just don't care about your character at that point.
For what it's worth, as somebody that has had a legendary and seen a bunch of people with this, whenever there's a legendary, you kind of just forget to enchant it sometimes. It happened very often with the Evoker legendary. There were so many Evokers that did not have their Evoker legendary enchanted because it's legendary. And then they just forget that you're supposed to put an enchant on it. I think that's actually kind of a thing.
I mean, think about it like this. Would you put a low quality enchant? Would you put diesel in your card that requires expensive gasoline? No. Would you put low quality gasoline in your card that requires expensive gasoline? No. Why would you put a cheap enchant on a legendary item? See, that math checks out. That's a good point.
I think it's fine. Dorky is like one of the biggest, just the fact that he's inspecting people's enchants in a random pug group, right? Like he's the biggest not consumable police, but enchant police or whatever. I don't know. I think that's fine.
Oh no, he's the consumable police. Oh, that makes sense.
No, yeah, he is not the consumable police. The guy who said we better get world first on this key because I augment ruined.
I thought you were referring to the potions.
Oh yeah. Did you guys see the new Dorky clause of the MDI rules? He actually got a rule added to the rule.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Oh,
he cannot. You are no longer allowed to leave the safe haven of Dornagal.
Yeah, that was
Incredible.
fair enough.
I think no, like for my take on it, I think it is perfectly reasonable for the leader to do that. It's their key, it's their group. But also I think it's just like one of the things that pug leaders take to an extreme is every little thing counts. When you don't know someone, you're going to use every little thing to kind of, there's not a perfect correlation between knowledge of your class and knowledge of the dungeon. But, if you're missing a chance or you're missing a gem, that kind of indicates that you are possibly missing some knowledge there. And therefore, you might interpret that your knowledge of the dungeon is also similarly lower than somebody else. So, like, is it the perfect assumption? No. Will it work in the majority of cases? Probably. That's why people do it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit weird to be kicking people from a 10 over it, but at the same time, Growl is right. I mean, they do have the option to do whatever they want after they inspect your character and see that you're a rat. At the same time, I'm no better than you. I don't enchant my shit until I get stuff that's like a more long-term upgrade either, so I'm not one to judge. Okay, next question for Valcone, and he says, question for the pod. Love the show and listen to it every week. Thank you. On the discussion about dungeon levers in the quote-unquote score keys, I've heard the argument that it's fine to leave the key when it's no longer timeable, since you won't be getting any score from it, and since it's a higher key than a 10, you're not going to be getting any loot. What about the angle where, for example, the tank or healer want to practice a pull later or pull a boss and they want the reps on those fights? Since it's still progression to their dungeon climb, is it still scummy to leave? I agree the issue would be fixed by having the lever system be opt-in, but interested in hearing your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I think I think it's tough, right? Because on one hand, I think if you want something out of the realm of what is normal, like that's something I wouldn't necessarily, well, I guess now with the new system, it is also normal, right? To like want reps and see further in the dungeon. I prefer a world where you make it clear what you want out of the dungeon at the very beginning. But at the same time, I think there's a lot to be said to respect your fellow human and the fellow person in your video game. And if they are polite about it and they ask you a favor, it's like, you blocked out that amount of time to do this dungeon anyway. It's not like it's not, you're all of a sudden you can't play the game because you agreed to do the dungeon. Yeah. So if someone who is like, being respectful and is like, hey, can we stick around? I want to see what the second boss is. And it's going to take you 10 minutes or whatever. I think, it is an expectation now, right? It is an expectation now with the new system. Before it wasn't. Personally, if someone asks me, I will always say yes, unless it's crazy circumstances. I'll always say yes. I don't mind sticking around. So I guess that's how it is now, though. It is now that you're. Which I think that's actually kind of a healthy mindset. Like I think the more time you spend in keys playing the video game, the better you're going to get and the higher your score is going to get. I think the delusion of I only want to be in score keys and I'm just going to sit in Dornagle and apply to shit and just hope that I get a good group and time it is not a very good long-term strategy, even though it's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, I will say, I think it also kind of depends on like what part of the dungeon you're in as to whether or not it's like, I would say fine to ask, because I think it's always fine to ask. I think realistically, people's willingness to accept it or not is going to depend on how far away from the dungeon or from that part of the dungeon. Say you wanted to practice the Priory of the Sacred Flame, like Paladin pull or something like that, and you guys wiped to the first boss. I think most people would like re-pull Dual Maul for you just so you guys could see the Paladin pull. Something like that. I think that it definitely could be pretty reasonable. But it comes down to like, what is the expectation of the group? I think a lot of people are going to kind of be of a mindset that they were last season, where they're just going to, the wipe's going to happen. They're going to have the weak aura that the moment that they die, they try to slash abandon the key and then they wipe it. The group is just magically despawned. There's no possible way that I could even check. But at the same time, like, I do think you should be nice to your fellow humans sometimes. And if they're,
realistically, that's going to happen though. Like that's, I from my experience in LFG, you're not going to get a word off. Like you're going to be like, hey, can I, and then vote to abandon has been passed. And then everybody's out of the dungeon. Like realistically, I think that it is actually so much easier to quit out on people and not finish the dungeon than it's ever been. Like very rare is it a situation where you have a bunch of people that want to stay. Like if you're the one guy in the group that wants to stay, chances are you're getting voted out of the dungeon.
Yeah. But, I think that key was always dead, but there is some benefit to that. But the easiest way is, unfortunately, finding Group of friends.
Yeah,
But
that's why finding a group of friends is important. And again, it doesn't have to even be a full 5 stack. You can play with like just one other person or 2 other people, and it game changer in terms of actually being able to progress too, because you're able to actually see those parts of the dungeon that you need to see more frequently, and you're learning as opposed to having like a new experience every single time.
Yep.
All right, final question we got for this week from Zach. He says, "Hi guys, on your most recent episode with Farfa, goated guest, by the way. I didn't add that. I don't know who Farfa PayPal'd this to ask this question. You guys were having a discussion about the pros and cons of resilient keystones system, and how the system benefits the majority of the player base, but maybe at the detriment to what the very top players experience. I have a solution to propose. What if resilient keystones function normally at the start of the season, but on the 0.5 patch, they become capped to whatever the top level of resilient keystones are at the start of the 0.5 patch? For example, if the top resilient keystones were at 18, then resilient keystones would continue to function up until 18 for the remainder of the season. This would give the bleeding edge / title pushers a more familiar experience compared to how it used to be, since keys naturally increased by a couple levels in the latter half of the season. Then the majority, 99.9% of the player base, would continue to benefit from the resilient system as normal. What are your thoughts?"
Well,
actually,
okay, we got to the resilient key rant.
Yep.
I think that this is pretty good. I think it's a bit clunky in terms of a system, but I actually think that it solves most of the problems that the current resilient key system faces.
Right. It's extremely, like, I've thought of this too when I talk about it. It's extremely non-elegant for me to be like, well, I don't like it, so cut it off at this level so then I don't have to deal with it, right? Like, that's why I voice my concerns about the resilient key system, and I don't propose that, because I'm pretty sure if I said that, like, make resilient stop at 17s, 99% of the people in the comments would be like, okay, that's fine, I don't care, he can have that, right? But it's so not elegant, and it so doesn't address the problems in the system. I think there are, like, I guess I'm not sure. I'm interested in how the resilient keystone level feels and how many of those people are pushing those 15s and 16 keys, and if you are actually like progressing in that level, how it feels. I mean, I think people maybe like it, but yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't like. I'm trying to think of like the way I see it is I don't think resilient keys are really that great unless all you care about is getting the reward, or you're like doing very, very low level keys, right? Like if you're not playing the game for fun and you literally just want the reward and you want not to fail, then resilient keys are great. But I still don't even know if they're that good for people who are doing mid-level keys, other than the fact that, yeah, I don't know. Like one thing I was thinking about is like maybe too having it so your keystone like can't go down too far, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to pitch. It's too late for resilient key idea pitching right now. But I think I agree with the question asker that this fixes some things, especially for the higher end. But like, I just think it's not very elegant, and I would hope that they come up with something better.
Yeah, for me, like, I think it's just confusing. Like, if you suddenly get to like an 18, and then suddenly resilient 18 doesn't pop up, and you're like, is it bugged? Like, anything that adds just more complexity to a system. Because right now, like, the rule of resilient keystones is very simple. You time all your keystones, your key can't go below that level. And so adding on more rules, the more rules you add, the more complex it gets, the more confusing it gets. You have to kind of find a spot to tell people that. It's like, where are you going to put that on the UI that's like, resilient keystones stop at level 18? Like, and then so we're like, why does it stop at 18? That makes no sense. So I think it's just like, I think it's an interesting idea that Blizzard will never go for because of that.
Yeah, I think there are some real flaws with the system, and like it's obviously not perfect, but I think it's, and this is the main point that I have about resilient keys, it's overall better than what we used to have, but it does fundamentally change how you push keys. Like that's not even just like a 1%er take. That is just the truth of it. Is like it does fundamentally change how you push keys. I would love to see if Blizzard would like take a hack at trying to make sure that these like specific situations in which it can become unfun get addressed in Midnight. I would love to see if they could try to do some outside the box thinking. I think that where Zach is coming from with here, it's again, the problem with his solution is that it's not a very elegant solution. Like, what are they going to do in the Mythic Dungeon tab? Whenever you open it up, it's got like some scrolling text. It's like, attention, Mythic Plus keystones are no longer resilient past 18. Alert, alert, alert. And you're like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, how are you supposed to really explain that to people? But I think that there's probably something that can address the problems.
Well, I mean, also, I think by far the biggest win out of the resilient system, and my favorite part is the milestones and the feeling of progression and achievement that you get from timing each thing and moving up your resilient key.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like when you like before, you kind of still felt that way, like, oh, I got every X level key time, but now like you have an achievement tied to it, you have something tangible, well, sort of tangible tied to it, and it feels good. And so again, if they remove that, that removes like the best part of the system for that area, right? So that's kind of why I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's not a terrible solution, but I think that I'm hoping that maybe they cook something up that's more interesting. And I think that it's possible that they're on the right track here with talking about this, like, what was that comment about, oh, your first key in LFG is like resilient or whatever? Maybe there is something there too, like, you know, resilient key, like they think about resilient keys more for helping people making the group rather than, yeah, I don't know. It's I like that they're thinking about it and thinking about other applications and purposes for resilient.
Yeah, dude, that would be if it was only an. I think it would be worse if it was only an LFG system, though. That would be a little bit weird if it was only an LFG system, because then you don't get any benefit out of it if you're playing in a 5-stack. Like right now, I think the most benefit that you get out of it is if you're in a controlled group that is always playing together, which is why these issues can arise whenever you're jumping from group to group.
If it only works
the way you benefit the most is when you have 4 people that are a regular group and then 1 person from Yoda or Dorky's group. Then you're extremely benefiting from
okay, hold on. Well, yeah, all right. Well, you're benefiting if you're that person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it was LFG only, you would just make a group in LFG and only invite your friends. Like, there's no point in making something LFG only.
All right. Well, / abandon. We're about to get the lever penalty if we don't abandon out of here. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.